Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Marvel Contest of Champions, and today we're going to talk about immunities. Now, if you've seen my video which was about the Incinerate immunity, you know that I'm quite passionate about comic book stuffs as well, putting it into the game as we know it. So if I could make any kind of changes to immunities, I probably would do the following. So let's start with a few characters that I feel could have a little bit of improvement with the type of immunities that they have. So let's start off with Storm. Now the reason I've chosen Storm is largely based on her weather control abilities, especially because she's able to manipulate the weather, including absorbing a large amount of electrical energy from lightning. The same type of lightning that is produced by Electro. Now the thought is, well, should she be shock immune? If she deals out shock, then shock coming back to her is going to be like, well, can you not? So you can send it out, but you can't receive it. Her mutation allows her to control a significant amount of electro energy. The argument could be that, well, Electro produces more electro energy than her, but it seems quite unlikely because she's a mutant. She's able to mutate and have cells that absorb this weather control. The amount of lightning that is produced from the sky should be equal to that being produced by Electro. So the next one up is Electro. Now this one is kind of I would say a no-brainer, in that I find it quite unusual that the character deals out shock but also receives shock, and he has no shock community, which again is very, very unusual. Yes, static shock is there, which is here. Opponents that make contact with you receive a static shock for 30% of the damage they inflict as energy damage. This damage is science based, dealing increased damage to Mystica champions, reduced damage to skill opponents. But when up against characters that manipulate electro energy, like Storm for example, that static shock should be kind of a nullified effect, and the character shouldn't receive it. So I find it very peculiar with regards to that being in place.
Now the next one up is Luke Cage. I do like the fact that he has Tough It Out, this kind of indestructible type starting point, which is good, but it doesn't, kind of nods to it aren't continued on. There are some points where he becomes indestructible through the fight. Yes, okay, physical reduction is there, which is great. However, I would say that the character should have at least something like Incinerate immunity. Why do I say that? You know, because people go, well, he should be able to be incinerated. It's very hot heat. It's 1,000 degrees plus for an incineration. Yeah, but he can withstand certain things like bazooka blasts. He's withstood acid. So there's not really a lot that should be able to hit him down. Yeah, you could argue that we need a specific type of bullet, or using some kind of substance, I don't know, vibranium, in order to penetrate his kind of tissues. I would say that's where a lot of the powers in his tissues, the regenerative tissues, and strong like an armor type of tissue.
But I suppose the argument is, yes, he will incinerate from the inside, similar to what we've seen in the Luke Cage series. But still, I just feel that the character should be a little bit more indestructible. There should be like a few other like little bits of immunity changes throughout, well, the ones we're going to discuss. But yeah, Incinerate, you know, I just think that Incinerate immunity needs to be put into the game in any case. And this character should be one potentially that gets it. It's a bit of an argument between yes he should, no he shouldn't. But I'd say if they were looking for a candidate lower down on the list, this should be one of them indeed. Next one up is Ghost Rider. This is a very interesting one because I feel that this character should be one of those super immune characters, in that he should have degeneration immune, and I feel that he should have that based on the fact that the character doesn't need any kind of great demoralizing effects on his character, as he's come from Satan's spawn to a degree. There's nothing that is going to potentially get him down or get him to a point where he should be losing health. So Ghost Rider gets bleed immunity, and that is right. The character's form is that of the Ghost Rider form and not of the Johnny Blaze. So it means that the character is not. You can't bleed bone. Like you can't bleed fiery bone. And I would have thought that in that state, then the character is less likely to sustain anything like a poison. So poison immunity would have been something to go well with this character, but it doesn't. The other thing I would have said with Incinerate is that, well, the character should get Incinerate immunity, and we covered this in the video earlier this week. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, then do check that out. In that the character is already a manipulator of flame, so therefore, regardless of the intensity of the flame, the character should be able to withstand any kind of flame-based attack. A quick point of reference goes to Phoenix, in that I find it quite odd that a character that uses a lot of cosmic powers to channel, flame abilities and incineration abilities should then receive incineration abilities. When it comes to the Vision and Vision, immunity is a very odd case to argue. In that, yes, okay, so the character does get poison immunity, bleed immunity, but there's also other kind of aspects of immunity that the character could possess. I'm not saying that the character should possess on this one, I'm saying could possess. The idea that the character, especially on the L3, and we've seen it in the movies, we've seen it in the comic books, where he's able to pass through solid objects and blast solar energy, means that, well, again, is this a character that, if he gets any detrimental effects, like even like degeneration, could he then go into more of a, not a transparent form, but a form that things can pass through him? So it's like saying, well, should the character receive as much detrimental effects based on the fact that the character is actually pretty darn good at avoiding any kind of very physical situation, even anything, like we said, with detrimental effects. Finally, just to say that all of these characters that I have looked at, I am not in any way criticizing Kabam's game. I think they do a fantastic job with the game, but it's just pointing out these things that I find a little bit irregular. Good feedback can also mean that someone can improve what they're doing. I think that, Kabam could change a few things, and maybe we're due a little bit of a tweak with regards to the immunities, especially in preparation for the next act. On the story mode, it's going to be something where immunities, I think, will be vitally needed. If characters are going to do Incinerate, and we had this very early on with Red Hulk, Crossbones, now we've got Phoenix, then incineration needs an immunity to it. The same way can be said for anything coming in, degeneration. We've got Joe Fixit that's immune to this. So therefore, these new effects that are coming in need immunities as well. So hopefully we can then start having a balance. And obviously Kabam seems to be addressing this slowly. But that's the thing about then growing your team to then go, well, hang on guys, let's have a look at trying to do this. But let me know in the comments below, what's your thoughts on immunities? Do we need an overhaul? Are they fine as they are? Are there any other characters that you think I've missed that maybe should have an immunity to certain things? Let me know, it'd be brilliant to hear from you. As always, if you've liked this video, then please hit that like button. If you want to find out more about comic book characters, as well as covering the game of Contest of Champions, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to follow me on social media, my links to Facebook and Twitter are in the description below. I've been RichTheMan. Thank you again for watching this video, and I should catch you on the flip side. Bye bye.